very good evening and welcome along to the 2020 MotoGP eSport Global Series. We're back in 2020 with some slightly different surroundings to our usual Global Series arena, but nevertheless we are here to kick off the first of 4 Global Series events. My name is Jack Appleyard, and to help me guide you through every single second of the action tonight is my good friend Jack Gorse. Welcome on, Jack.
Yes, good evening, and a very massive welcome from me as well. Extremely happy to be here as we bring you the opening 2 races of the 2020 Global Series at 2 iconic MotoGP circuits. First up, Ducati's Andrew ZH will start the defence of his MotoGP eSport World Championship on home soil at Mugello, before we then head to the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto for our final race of the evening.
There's a whole host of new faces joining us in 2020, plus our regular front runners as well, as Jack mentioned, Andrew ZH here to defend his title, plus our only ever 2-time eSport champion, Monster Energy Yamaha's Trastevere, is back to try and reclaim the crown that he lost last year. We're going to meet all of our runners and riders very shortly, but before that, let's remind ourselves of exactly how we got here. The MotoGP eSport World Championship returned in 2020 with a brand new format. Gamers from Europe and the rest of the world across 3 platforms competed for a place in the Global Series during the Pro Draft, which consisted of 3 online challenges where points were won, just like in MotoGP. At the end of the 3 challenges, the top 16 gamers from Europe and the top 6 from the rest of the world qualified for the draft selection. There, the 11 MotoGP teams chose 1 official rider and 1 substitute rider for the Global Series. The 2020 Global Series will be contested across 4 different rounds with 2 races at each event, plus double points at the season finale where the champion will be crowned. The cream has truly had to rise to the top in 2020, meaning our 11 eSport gamers really are the best in the world.
And they're from every corner of the globe as well, with every single official MotoGP team being represented by a wide variety of countries and continents.
We've got some former champions, some former race winners, some returning faces and some debutants as well, meaning our star-studded 2020 lineup is bound to throw up some drama. So, Jack, I think it's about time that we meet them.
2020 Global Series is here, and we've got 11 riders ready to go to battle. The first of which is a rookie to the championship, Sancho Queen. The Indonesian scored 70 out of 75 points in the qualifiers. He'll be one to watch. Next up we have Davide Galinha 23, who returns to the Global Series after a year off in 2019. Mr TFTW is up next. The Australian number 23 returns for a second time. The LCR Honda seat is filled by a familiar face as Moe returns for a 3rd time to the Global Series. And also returning for a 3rd time is Juan NH16. 4th in 2019, he'll be looking to get a little closer to last year's Big 3. Repsol Honda have a new rider for 2020. Fuchs scored a maximum of 75 points in the qualifiers. The Brazilian is looking mightily fast. Eligos 555 moves across to Aprilia for 2020. After a tough 2019, he's looking to rebound. Williams Adrian is in full factory orange this year. 5th overall last year, he's not far from the front guys. His brother Williams Christian lines up for Suzuki again in 2020 and is looking fast. The 2-time champ Trastevere, he'll be seeking to get his crown back as he lines up for factory Yamaha once again. And the man they're all chasing, there he is, 2019 champion Andrew ZH aboard the factory Ducati. And for the first time then, here we are, all 11 of our eSport gamers ready to fight for the 2020 eSport World Championship. But they're fighting for more than just that lovely trophy. There's a few other things as well.
Yeah, they certainly are. Our eventual champion will be driving away in a BMW M235i X-Drive Grand Coupe. Bit of a mouthful, but certainly worth winning. Our second place man will ride away on a Aprilia RS125 GP bike, whereas 3rd place will win themselves a Lenovo Legion 7 laptop. Our top 3 as well will all get the Red Bull experience, plus win themselves a 2021 MotoGP video pass. Plus, one last thing, all 11 of our gamers, once fans are allowed back into the circuit, will get themselves a full VIP experience where they'll be able to meet some of their heroes, some MotoGP riders who, a few of them, have already met and given some advice to.
Certainly, and it's exactly then the heroes that they need to thank, really, for our eSport gamers. As some of them, as you've seen in the virtual races that we had previously, they gave them just a little hand with setup tweaks and helping them find the perfect lap time in MotoGP 20.
And before we find out exactly how much help the MotoGP riders were given over our global series events, not global series events, sorry, our virtual race events, there we go, make sure we don't get the pair of them mixed up. Let's hear a message from our virtual race champion. Repsol Honda's Alex Marquez picked up wins in Misano and Mugello to help him to win the virtual championship, and here is what he's got to say to our 11 gamers ahead of the global series kicking off tonight.
Hello, soon starts the MotoGP Global Series. I want to wish good luck to everybody, but especially the folks at Repsol on the Team Gamer. I remember in the MotoGP virtual races that I was so nervous, but the most important thing is to have fun, to enjoy, and you know, it's important to not crash, because in the game, like in the reality, you lose a lot of time. So you know, good luck to everyone and enjoy. Bye bye.
I like to say thank you to Trastevere that gave us the stuff. And we can go a little bit more faster.
Maverick, you need a bit of setup, okay?
Yes.
So you got some help from Trastevere?
Exactly.
And then... No.
I have not so much experience how to play MotoGP 19 game. So let me know some tips.
Okay, I think the first tips that I could give is try to avoid the curves in this game, because it's quite different.
I want to thank you to Putut Maulana, Indonesian rider. He gave me the setup, and you know, I didn't pass to Mark because he's my teammate, but he's my rival also. So Mark,
but Alex, on the video game I accept. On the reality,
I know.
¿Vas con el setup de Trastevere?
Sí, se te van a acabar los megas del internet de tanto jugar.
Hola, mando personalizado, el Fabio y todo, qué viciado, loco.
Mando personalizado.
Yo es lo más la calidad, tío.
Qué viciado, tío. 44-1. 44-1.
So there we go, our stars of MotoGP eSport 2020 have already been a big help to the MotoGP regulars, and one of them was, of course, our 2019 MotoGP eSport World Champion Andrea Severi, known to most of you at home as Andrew ZH. Andrea, I'm sure that life has changed for you quite a lot since your last championship victory in Valencia. How's the last 6 or 7 months been for you?
Hi everyone. Yes, last year was a very great year for me. I realized my dream, and after a very hard work. So let's see what I will do this year. I try to give my max to defend the title. The level is very high year after year, so it's very difficult, but I will try my best.
Now, obviously, our surroundings in 2020, as we've already mentioned, are a little bit different this year, especially compared to your usual eSport arena surroundings. So where do we find you at the moment? Is that your kitchen, your bedroom? Whereabouts are you, Andrew?
Yes, it's a strange start to the championship, because I don't believe that the first 2 races I just try to do in my room. It's strange, but I will try to give my best. So let's see, because the first 2 races will be in Mugello and Jerez, 2 beautiful circuits, but also different and difficult. And let's see, because it's important to do well at the start of the championship.
Well, as you rightly say, Andrew, of course, our first race of the evening is going to be from Mugello, a place in 2019 where you picked up pole position, a fastest lap and the race wins. Not a bad place to start the defence of your 2019 championship. All of the qualifying sessions took place earlier on today, so let's take a look at the qualifying highlights from Mugello, our first race of the evening, and see if Andrew ZH was able to pick up a second pole position in 2 years. The opening qualifying session of 2020 took place earlier on today around the Mugello circuit, with the final place on the front row going to Williams Christian, once again with Suzuki for 2020. The Spaniard missed out on the championship by just 5 points in 2019, so we'll be hoping a front row start for the opening race of 2020 will help him get off to a good start to this year's championship. Joining him on the front row will be our reigning and defending champion Andrew ZH, now an official Ducati rider. He picked up pole position at Mugello in 2019 but had to settle for second today. Pole position went to this man. Williams Adrian has made the switch from Suzuki to KTM for 2020 and it's clearly paying dividends with a career first MotoGP eSport pole position by just 0.019 of a second. Two-time champion Trastevere front row number 2, head of Sancho, Queen and Ellie Ghost, with Davide Guilugna, Juan and H and Fuchs on row 3, with Moe and Mr TFTW on row 4. There we go then, our first pole position of 2020 going the way of Williams Adrian. A switch from Suzuki Power to the Red Bull KTM factory racing squad from 2019 to 2020. Clearly working absolute wonders for the Spaniard. So Adrian, huge congratulations, your first ever MotoGP eSport pole. How does it feel?
I am very happy because this is my first position in MotoGP eSport, and I will try to do a good race and good start, and I will try to do the best in the race, and I will try to do my first podium too.
Well, of course, as you say, never even been on the podium before, so starting from pole position is a great way to start life in 2020. You're going to be joined on the front row by our reigning champion Andrew ZH and your brother Williams Christian as well, who you guys at home might be able to see just over his right-hand shoulder there, of course, as they're brothers. They're in the same house together, unsurprisingly, so hopefully things don't get too heated and they start having a little scrap on screen. That wouldn't go down too well. Williams Adrian as well, just quickly, of course, we need to mention the fact that he's taken an early lead in our MotoGP Tissot eSports Pole Award. The man at the end of the Global Series with the most pole positions will walk away with a shining, glistening Tissot watch, just like they do in MotoGP, Jack.
Yep, certainly, and it's looking like Williams Adrian's going to be a tough one to beat in the first race. Just moments away now, but before we get into that, let's take a look at some of the hot spots and where they're going to be going for overtakes in Mugello. So let's take a really quick look at what makes Mugello a difficult track to master. Nestled into the Tuscan hills of Italy, the 5.245 kilometre track has been a staple of Grand Prix racing for decades, first appearing on the calendar all the way back in 1976. With a bias of 9 right-hand corners to just 6 left-hand corners, the riders are going to need to be careful with their tyres, particularly when pushing hard in the midst of battle. And the first of those places we need to look out for is, of course, the 1.1 kilometre long front straight and getting it stopped into turn 1. Watch as the riders come over the crest, pull out the slipstream and dive down the inside. Next up, you've got to keep your eyes peeled at turns 6 and 7, the downhill plunge of Casanova and Cervelli. It's a key part of the lap. Getting a move done here gives them time to pull away before returning to Slipstream City on the front straight. Zone 3 takes us to just after Arrabbiata 1 and 2 and into the tricky downhill braking zone of Scarperia. It's the last conventional chance of an overtake, but don't be too shocked if we see some final lap, final corner lunges just to add to the chaos. So those are the key overtaking hotspots in Mugello ahead of the very first race of the 2020 Global Series.
There we go then, those are all of the hot spots to keep your eye on ahead of our first race of the Global Series at Mugello. Right, Jack, I think it's about time that we go racing, don't you?
Certainly is. Let's get the show on the road, eh?
Absolutely. 8 races in this Global Series Championship, so every single point will count. It's about time that we get the show on the road and let's go racing in Mugello. Here we go then, the wait is over. The opening race of the 2020 MotoGP eSport Global Series with that man right there, Williams Adrian, starting from pole position for the first time in his career, joined by the reigning world champion Andrew ZH. Wait for the lights to go out and we are underway in 2020, and it's a great start from pole position by the pole man Williams Adrian, but here comes Trastevere trying to get the run down onto the inside to the opening corner. Williams Adrian has his brother Christian for company around the outside, bumping and barging between our two previous world champions Trastevere and Andrew ZH there, but it's Williams Adrian aboard the KTM that comes out on top through the opening corner, Jack.
Oh yes, and we just saw that Williams Christian, he pushed Trastevere wide, as now Andrew ZH is coming alongside them. They're almost free abreast coming down now into turn 4. Trastevere dives to the inside, second place, he's up into second behind Williams Adrian. Williams Adrian though already with a gap, look at that.
There's some bumping and barging early on, and as you say, Jack, Williams Adrian already has 3 or 4 bike lengths on the guys behind them, and here comes Christian once again. He's going to squeeze up the inside. What a super move that is. Whoa. Tries to block the Trastevere, trying to squeeze back up the inside, but just couldn't close the door early enough, and the Yamaha is back through into second place now.
Yeah, now we're just coming through Arrabbiata 2, and the Ducati of Andrew ZH has barged his way through, so the 2 free title contenders last year that we saw, they're all battling for second, third and fourth, but still Williams Adrian looking composed out front. And look at that, in 5th place, it's Sancho Queen on his debut, looking like he can really mix it with the big boys out the front.
You're right, Jack. It's a super start from the Indonesian, riding for Petronas Yamaha SRT. On debut, a great performance. He's putting the 3 guys that were on the podium last year under all sorts of pressure. Meanwhile, here's the Suzuki of Williams Christian. In the background, you saw Sancho Queen there just kicking up a little bit of dust as he came through the penultimate corner into the final corner. This is the end of lap number 1, and it's Williams Adrian that leads the way, 3/4 of a second clear of Trastevere ahead of Andrew ZH and Williams Christian. Further down the field, as we've mentioned, Sancho Queen in 5th, Juan NH in 6th, Fuchs the Brazilian on the Repsol Honda in 7th, ahead of Moe Davide Galinha, Ellie Ghost 555 now in 9th, with Davide Galinha 10th, and the Australian Mr. TFTW in 11. Back at the front though, and it's still the 73 of Trastevere in second place, holding off last year's race winner here at Mugello, Andrew ZH aboard the Ducati.
We see them already bucking and weaving as they're coming down now, charging down to turn 4. We look backwards from from Trastevere towards Andrew ZH. Look at the gaps, absolutely no breathing room for anyone apart from the man out front. They really need to start putting in the laps if they want to close him down. That battle on the first lap has just allowed him to get away, as we see. Oh, that was close. That was a close one there. Who was that diving up the inside?
Williams Christian on board the Suzuki just looked to try and squeeze his front wheel ahead of Andrew ZH ahead of him, and it nearly got absolutely cleaned off. So lucky to stay on there, and lucky there was no contact. Meanwhile, here comes Sancho Queen, a mistake from Williams Christian, gets onto the curb and loses the drive, allows Sancho Queen to get ahead of him, but he was hard on the brakes, a little bit too hard in fact, and ran wide, allowing Christian to squeeze back in front. Meanwhile, look at Juan NH and Fuchs trying to go around the outside of Sancho Queen. That's a brave move to pull off. Back at the front though, and it looks as though Andrew ZH, Trastevere and Adrian have just been able to pull clear as a result of this battle right here between the 25 of Williams Christian and the number 66 of Sancho Queen. Here are your front 3, the KTM, followed by the Yamaha, followed by the Ducati on the end of lap number 2.
Tell you what, Jack, it looks like Trastevere's just started to settle into his rhythm here, and he's pulling in. Oh, as I say that, actually Williams Adrian sets the fastest lap of the race, but that gap does look like it's come down a little bit, possibly on the second lap we saw them.
Here comes Sancho Queen. Here comes Sancho Queen. Again, he gets ahead of Williams Christian, but again he runs wide, and the Suzuki man is able to pick up 4th place once more as a result of that mistake from Sancho Queen. Meanwhile, Juan H in the background, he thought he saw a gap. I thought he saw a gap, but he wasn't able to get ahead of the Petronas Yamaha ahead of him. Meanwhile, it looks as though this front 3 right here are breaking clear from the 25 of Williams Christian. At the moment, they got 1.2 seconds between the front wheel of the Suzuki X-Star bike and the rear wheel of Andrew ZH aboard that Ducati. Those front 3 are separated by absolutely nothing now. Less than a second between them. You can see them all in one shot there. The orange of the KTM currently leading the way. This is a great performance coming in from Williams Adrian. This time last year, he finished in 4th place. Over 5 seconds adrift of Andrew ZH, our eventual race winner. But he looks to be an absolutely transformed man in 2020. He's always had the pace as Williams Adrian, riding for Suzuki last year and the year before that as well. He was able to be super fast, always at the top of the online challenges when he's doing it from the comfort of his own home, but it looks as though the pressure, the bright lights of the Global Series just might have got to him in years gone by. The fact that the opening round of this 2020 Global Series, of course, is taking place from home is probably suiting him. He feels a lot more relaxed, a lot more comfortable. You can see that because he's at the front of the race, now over half a second clear of our two-time champion Trastevere.
Yeah, he definitely looks comfortable, Jack. And you just got to be wondering what Trastevere and the 2019 champion Andrew ZH are thinking as we just see Williams Adrian a little bit wide, but he cuts it back for a late apex running up to turn 2. You just wonder if Andrew ZH is sat there pushing as hard as he can, or whether he's waiting. You don't know. You know, he started this off with a win last year on the Ducati in his home race. But this year it looks as though it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to do that, as there is still that half a second gap to Trastevere. I wonder if he's just struggling to close in on these two guys.
Mistakes are absolutely costly in MotoGP eSport as well. One mistake can see you drop back from second place all the way outside of the top 10. So these guys will know in the back of their mind this is the opening race of 8. Of course, races 7 and 8 are grand finale. Double points on offer there as well. So there is a long way to go in this championship, but despite the fact that there are double points at the last round, only 8 races means that every point matters. I mean, we saw that last year with the top 3 in the championship eventually separated by just 5 points. And Trastevere will know that more than anybody else, being on the wrong end of those 5 points. Just missing out on a third back-to-back MotoGP eSport Championship to Andrew ZH. So he will know that points make prizes, and if he can hold on to second place, that will be a good start. Meanwhile, here is the start from the Yamaha man. What a launch that is from the front of row number 2 of the grid. Incidentally, that's where he started 2019 from as well, and he got an equally lightning start. Was able to squeeze up the inside of Andrew ZH, who then just pops into picture and made sure that Trastevere knew that he was there. It was a good start from Williams Christian on the outside of the front row as well. Andrew ZH, meanwhile, he went backwards off the front row.
He certainly did, and you've got to say that move at turn 1 where he just tried to dive down the inside of Trastevere was possibly just a little bit of desperation, because he knew that he has to get out front. The pace is so high and so competitive here. We saw in qualifying just how close everyone was, that if you're not out front at the start, it's going to be very difficult for you to get back to the front later in the race. As now we just see the top 2, they have actually stretched away from Andrew ZH. Williams Adrian receiving a lot of pressure here from Trastevere, but he hasn't buckled yet. We see them bucking and weaving, the rear tyres are sliding everywhere, and in this 2020 MotoGP 20 game there's more than just a tyre wear to think about. They've got to control their fuel consumption as well. If they don't do that, they do run the possibility of running out of fuel, but I reckon that Williams Adrian, that he's got that under control.
That would be an absolute disaster to be running out of fuel. It would mean you come across the line in 11th place, you would imagine, which is not how anybody will want to start life in 2020. Half a second is the gap at the front, or it was at least. It looks like Trastevere has just brought that down to about 3 tenths, 4 tenths, hovering around that mark at the moment. As you rightly say, Jack, it looks like Andrew ZH has just backed off a little bit. Either that or he's just struggling to run the pace of these top 2 guys at the moment. It's been a faultless performance from Williams Adrian so far. Remember, it was his first ever pole position earlier on today. And now he's looking for a first ever rostrum. It could well be that the first time he jumps onto the podium is to take victory.
Certainly, it'd be an absolutely fantastic way to do it, wouldn't it, Jack? You just see there on the tyre, it looked like there was just a few little bits of Michelin rubber firing off, so maybe that tyre is starting to go off, but, well, I say that, and he's just set the fastest lap of the race at a 42.411. Just looking down the timing screens, we can see there's quite a close little battle between Sancho Queen and Juan NH, those two still going at it for 5th and 6th place. And not just that, but Fuchs is just behind them. Now, Fuchs and Sancho Queen in the qualifiers are actually the 2 quickest. Fuchs actually scored 75 out of 75 points, with Sancho Queen scoring 70 out of 75 points. So those two, there's a little bit of pride there for the rest of the world qualifiers.
Of course, those 2 of our 4 rest of the world qualifiers this year, the other 2 being Indonesia's Moe, riding for the LCR Honda squad, and Mr. TFTW in 11th place at the moment from Australia, riding for Reale Avintia. At the front, though, is the KTM that leads this MotoGP eSport season opener, with Trastevere, the 2-time champion, in second, and our reigning 2019 eSport champion, Andrew ZH, in third place. The laps are starting to tick away here. So far, no mistakes have been made by any of the front three, but as we've seen in years gone by, that can all change in an absolute blink of an eye. In case you're wondering as well, the number 26 of Williams Adrian, also sporting a rather familiar helmet design. Of course, given the fact that he's running the number 26, he is a huge Danny Pedrosa fan, and it looks at home on the KTM as well.
Yeah, it certainly does. It looks pretty good, and it looks pretty nice out front as well. Nice to see the number 26 back at the sharp end of the race. As we just see now, they're coming on to the last 2 laps. Is there anything that Andrew ZH can do? He's not bothering to go for the slipstream. He's a little bit too far back for that, so he's just powering on the shortest line. As we see Williams Adrian again raise the bar. Another half a tenth taken on that lap record, as we can see.
Incredible consistency from Williams Adrian here. He's just putting in lap after lap after lap, going faster and faster every time we cross the line as well. And as a result, Trastevere just has nothing to go at him yet. He can't close in onto the rear wheel to even get within sniffing distance of trying to make an overtake.
Certainly not. And one person that we barely even mentioned in this race, Jack, is Williams Christian. He's sat there in 4th. He's kind of the lonely man. He's just been 1 second or so off the back of Andrew ZH. And of course, he was the man that only finished 5 points off the championship last year. In fact, he beat his brother in that championship overall, the race leader, Williams Adrian, at the moment. So we'll have to see if he can just pull back up into that top 3 fight as we do turn to him now. Again, perfect, no mistakes, hitting all the lines as we come through Arrabbiata 2 now. Just have to see if he can close in.
This time last year, Williams Christian finished the race in 2nd, only 4 tenths adrift of the eventual race winner Andrew ZH, but at the moment it's a complete turnaround of that front 4. In 2019 it was Andrew ZH in 3rd who won, ahead of Williams Christian in 4th in 2nd, and then Trastevere, who's now 2nd, in 3rd, and Williams Adrian, who's now 1st in 4th. But it's completely different this time around. They're all within 2 seconds of each other. Williams Christian just a little bit further back at the moment, but it looks as though everything has changed in 2020. Of course, all of these machines absolutely equal. There's no performance advantage between the Ducati and the Yamaha and the KTM. They're all absolutely level to make sure that it is a level playing field, and the winner is the man who, quite simply, is the fastest on the console.
Certainly, and I was just about to say there, Jack, as we rode on board with him for the final sector, it looked as though Andrew ZH was just starting to find his stride, and as we was pushing the limits, we did see him get extremely close to them track limits. And I just want to raise one valuable point. You see in the top left on the scoreboard, you can see a little red exclamation mark next to everyone's names. That does mean they have some form of time penalty. We don't know how big that is or how small, but it could make a difference to the end of the race.
Have to wait and see, but in the meantime, we're on to the final lap here at Mugello, the first race of 8 in the MotoGP 2020 eSport Global Series, and at the moment it looks like we're going to have a first-time winner in Williams Adrian. Never mind a first-time winner for Williams Adrian, it'll be a first-time winner for KTM as well, the first time that the Austrian factory will have tasted glory in the MotoGP class. Can Trastevere or Andrew ZH, our only 2 previous world champions, come up with anything on this final half a lap, or will it be Adrian to take the first bit of glory in 2020? There's his brother Christian. It looks like he's going to have to settle for 4th place. Well, in fact, he won't be settling for 4th. He's got to push right to the line here because Sancho Queen is all over the rear wheel of him. Back at the front though, we're into the final sector, 3 corners to go. They'll go left and then right, and it's still Williams Adrian leading the way. This is it, 1 corner to go. Andrew ZH has somehow come up with a dynamite last lap to put all sorts of pressure on Trastevere. Can he steal 2nd place away from his fellow Italian as they run towards the line? At the front though, there's no denying who the race winner is and who the first bit of glory goes to in 2020. Williams Adrian aboard the KTM takes the opening win of 2020, and Trastevere holds off his title rival Andrew ZH to take 2nd place ahead of his fellow Italian. 4th going the way of Williams Christian, with Sancho Queen on debut taking a top 5 finish. What a great way to start the 2020 Global Series, Jack, with our top 3 covered by less than a second.
Yeah, cracking performances from the top 5. 6th place goes to Juan NH, 7th to Fuchs on the Repsol Honda, 8th to Davide Galigno on his return to the series with Moe, Ellie Ghost and Mr. T of TW.
What a way to start the 2020 Global Series. Our top 3 riders covered by less than a second. If we've got another 7 races like that over the next coming weeks and months, we're definitely in for a treat. Our reigning 2019 champion Andrew ZH starting life with a podium, which of course is a couple of places lower down than where he was in 2019. Picked up a race win to start his year last year. So Andrew, what's the difference between 2019 and 2020 for you?
Yeah, I'm happy to start the season with this podium. It's very important to keep the most important points for the start of the championship. The race was so difficult because Adrian, Trust, Christian and also the other riders are very fast. The level was very high. So I'm happy, and also because in this game to stay behind another rider is difficult, and also to overtake is not easy. But I'm happy, and now I will try to give my max in a race.
And of course, fond memories in Jerez as well for you, because that's where you picked up the 2019 championship. But it looks like you've got another fight on your hands in 2020. Our only ever 2-time champion, Trastevere, is in the mix once again. You definitely can't count out Mr. 2-time.
You certainly can't. He's looking as strong as ever, Jack. Trastevere, it looked like it was quite a difficult race for you. You did start life one better than you did in 2019. It was a little battle at the start, but is there anything that you learnt in that race to take forward into race 2 in Jerez?
Yes, for sure. The start now is better than last year, and I'm really happy to do the second place. In the qualifying, I wrote something. For sure, I could start a little bit in front, but by the way, the race was very difficult in this game. Like Andrew says. It's very difficult to stay behind another rider. The bike moved a lot, but for the rest, I'm really happy. Adrian was so fast. Congratulations, also Andrew, and was great. Also the bagarre with Christian at the start of the race, the first lap. I'm really happy. I'm really happy to start with this second position. Really happy for Yamaha. And was difficult because stay in the middle between Adrian and Andrew was so difficult, but at the end, really happy. Now, see it.
And of course, Jack, it was that little battle at the start that possibly just allowed Williams Adrian to get away.
Yeah, it certainly did. It allowed him to escape and pick up a first ever MotoGP eSport race win. Before today, he'd never even had a pole position, he'd never even had a podium, but he walks away from our first race at Mugello with a podium, never mind a podium, with a race win and a pole position as well, and KTM's first ever win in MotoGP, kind of. So, Adrian, how does it feel to be a MotoGP race winner?
Thanks. I am very happy because it's my first victory in the championship. The race was very difficult because Trastevere and Andrew were behind all the race, but I'm very happy to this victory and to start leading the championship. And I will try to do my best in Jerez.
Of course, the top 3 in last year's championship covered by absolutely nothing. So those opening 5 points over Trastevere and 9 over Andrew ZH could be crucial. And of course, it helps to beat your brother as well. I think he's just having a quick word there with his younger brother, just letting him know who the best one in the household is. Right, we've got another race coming up at Jerez in a few moments' time. Before that, though, let's recap what happened in Mugello. There we go, those are the highlights from our opening race of 2020. Great start to life for Williams Adrian in Mugello. We'll be able to see if he can back it up with another win in Jerez in a few moments' time. But whilst we allow these guys to catch their breath before we switch our attention to the Circuito de Jerez Ángel Nieto, it's about time that we meet the new faces, or returning faces shall we say, in 2020. The first man is a returning face, Pramac Racing's Davide Galigna. The Italian was with us in 2018, had a year off to sort of compose himself, and he's come back better than ever it seems in 2020. So what's it like being back on the grid this year, Davide?
Yes, first of all, hi everybody. It was like 2018. Finally, I'm back. I'm really happy. It was a strange race because I wasn't able to start good, and I struggled a lot during the race. I wasn't able to do my pace, but first of all, I'm really happy to be back, and now I have to train a lot because it's one of my first race with PC. And so I have to train. So let's keep pushing.
Well, best of luck for the rest of the 2020 season, Davide. Great to have you back on the grid. Hopefully you can go a few places better in Jerez later on this evening. Of course, Davide, part of our 7 European gamers. We've got 4 guys from the rest of the world with us in 2020 as well. Australia's Mr. TFTW and Moe from Indonesia are back with us. But we've also got 2 brand new faces, 2 debutants on the 2020 grid, Jack.
We certainly do. And the first of those is the man who's going to be riding for Repsol Honda. It's the Brazilian who goes by the name of Fuchs. We're going to have to be careful with that one, Jack.
Yeah, we certainly are.
He actually scored 75 points. So let's see if he can fight for a championship in 2020 Global Series.
Well, first of all, hi everyone. It's going to be tough because the level of the field is really, really high. I mean, I saw the pace of these guys in the front, the top 3 was incredible. But, races are races, and not every time the fastest guy wins is the one who messes up the list. So, yeah, why not? I think I could be challenging for the championship. That's why I'm here.
Well, it certainly seems that he's going to be quite a threat to it, Jack. And as he says, those mistakes, he's going to have to cut them out if he wants to be at the top.
Yes, certainly is. Of course, it's great to have another Brazilian rider back on the grid once again after Moreira was with us in 2019. So best of luck to Fuchs in the 2020 campaign. I got mixed up and said Malaysian because our next man, our second rookie in 2020, is from Malaysia, riding for a Malaysian team as well, the Petronas Yamaha SRT squad. It's, of course, Sancho Queen, and he started life with a top 5 finish. Welcome along, Sancho Queen.
Yeah, I'm so happy being to be part of this sport, for this eSport, and this it's a difficult race because I could win the race if I start at the front, but I don't know why I can find the same space before the practice, so the finish at the 5th place it's good for a rookie, I think.
Yes, certainly is. I'd be super happy with picking up a top 5 finish in your first ever race, and he seems pretty confident that he can try and challenge for the podium in Jerez too. Talking of Jerez, now that we've met everybody on our 11 rider strong MotoGP Global Series grid, let's switch our attention to race 2 of the evening from the Circuito de Jerez Ángel Nieto, the host of rounds 1 and 2 of the MotoGP World Championship and the host of round 2 for us as well. Qualifying once again took place earlier on today. Let's find out how they all got on. Here's our lineup for our second race of the evening and round 2 of the Global Series, with Andrew ZH starting from the outside of the front row at the place where we wrapped up his 2019 championship just over 6 months ago. He'll be joined on the front row by Monster Energy Yamaha's Trastevere after the Italian squeezed ahead of his compatriot with less than 5 minutes remaining to secure his first front row start of the 2020 Global Series. And pole position for the second time tonight goes the way of Williams Adrian. The Red Bull KTM factory racing man will be eyeing a perfect start to the 2020 Global Series as he once again goes for victory from pole position. This time it was more comfortable, taking pole by over a quarter of a second. Juan NH front row number 2 ahead of Sancho Queen and Williams Christian, with Eligos 555, Davide Gilligny, Moe on row 3 before Fuchs and Mr. TFTW round out the grid. The second grid of 2020 has been set then, and it's got a very familiar feel and look to it because it's our first man to clinch pole position in 2020 and our first race winner of 2020 that's done it again. Williams Adrian on board the Red Bull KTM factory racing machine has made sure that it's back-to-back pole positions on the opening night of the Global Series. Many congratulations. I'm sure you're going to be hoping that race 2 goes exactly like race 1.
Hi, thanks a lot. I am very happy because it's my second pole position in a row, and I will try to do my best in the race. But sure, will be very difficult because I are behind Trastevere, Andrew, Christian, Sancho. But I will try to my best and repeat the of Mujer.
The good news for you as well is that you take quite a commanding lead in our Tissot MotoGP eSport Pole Award as well. As we mentioned earlier in the show, of course, the guy that walks away with the most pole positions at the end of 2020 will win themselves a Tissot watch. So the fact that you've won the 2 of our 8 pole positions means that you are already the favourite for that one.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be hard to beat. Fast in Mugello and now fast in Jerez. 2 completely different circuits. Mugello just a little bit quicker and Jerez a little bit tighter. But now we turn our focus to the hot spots in Jerez, where some of the riders are going to be going for a few cheeky overtakes. So let's take a look at the overtaking hotspots for Jerez, the venue for race 2 of the 2020 Global Series. It poses a unique challenge with 8 right-hand corners and 5 left-hand corners packed into 4.423 kilometers. It's a place that offers very little time to relax. It's tight and twisty and demanding on both the bike and rider. The first place we need to watch out for is of course turn 1, the uphill braking zone, allowing the riders to brake as late as they dare to get the job done. Zone 2 takes us all the way to Curva Dani Pedrosa at turn 6. The fast run out of the sweeping turn 5 beforehand is key if they want to get a good run onto the straight and make a move into the bottom gear hairpin. It's the perfect place for a block pass. And speaking of block passes, the final corner, Curva Jorge Lorenzo, is a place we've seen so many hard moves at in the past. Will it provide more drama this year? Only time will tell. That's your overtaking hotspots for the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto. Race 2 is coming up shortly.
Plenty of overtaking opportunities then at Jerez. Plenty of chances for some drama to unfold in our second race of the evening. Can Williams Adrian hang on to make it back-to-back victories on the opening night of the MotoGP eSport Championship? Or can any of our former race winners or even former champions fight back in the hunt to become the 2020 MotoGP eSport champion? Let's find out, because it's time to go racing in Jerez. Race 2 of the Global Series coming up then. Can Williams Adrian make it a perfect opening night of the 2020 Championship? He's already got 2 pole positions in his back pocket and a race win as well. Can he make it 2 from 2? 9 laps of Jerez coming up. Adrian, Trastevere and Andrew ZH on the front row, and we are underway with another good start from Williams Adrian aboard the KTM. He's surely going to get the whole shot once again down towards turn 1. Yes, he does. Trastevere runs a little bit wide. We've got a couple of fallers in the background. It looks like one of them was Williams Christian and Moe as well. Williams Christian finished 4th in the opening race, but he's dead last after the opening sector of this second race. A disastrous start for Williams Adrian's brother.
Yeah, absolute nightmare for Williams Christian, Jack. Going down in turn 1, that's pretty much his race over. There's no way he's going to catch these guys with the level that all these guys are on. One man that made an absolute brilliant start, and much better than the one he made in race 1, was Sancho Queen, the rookie, the man who's new to the MotoGP eSport Global Series this year. He's up into P4 already, and he's looking down the inside of Andrew ZH, that is, as Andrew ZH goes a little bit wide, and they tag each other. Who else has gone wide? Was that Fuchs on the Repsol Honda running wide as well? Was someone else?
Well, Andrew ZH has just been T-boned by Sancho Queen. That would not have gone down well if the Petronas Yamaha man had taken out our reigning world champion. He's been demoted to 4th place, and he's now got Juan NH on the Tech 3 KTM all over his rear wheel. A disastrous opening lap for Andrew ZH as he looked to bite back on Trastevere in this world championship. Meanwhile, we're talking about the championship coming down between Trastevere and Andrew ZH as it has done in years gone by. But Williams Adrian at the moment is on course for 50 points from the opening 50 of 2020. He is a superb championship contender as things stand. And here goes Juan NH up the inside of Andrew ZH. Is he the Ducati man? Is he going to be demoted to 5th? No, he's just about held on despite going wide at the final corner, Lorenzo corner. Meanwhile, here comes Juan NH. He's back through. He's done it into turn 1 at the start of lap number 2. Andrew ZH is going to fight back though. Can he squeeze through here? There's barely a gap there. Juan NH is going to have the inside line as they flick back left, and the KTM is just about going to hold on. Meanwhile, it's allowing Ellie Ghost 555 to close in on the Aprilia, the man who finished runner-up in 2018. He is no mug, and now he's over the rear wheel of Andrew ZH. Our 2019 champion is in all sorts of problems on this second lap.
Yeah, problems are plenty for Andrew ZH, Jack. I don't want to make any random conclusions, but I do think that it might be possible that Andrew ZH has just gone the wrong way on setup as we see him run slightly wide again, and now Ellie Ghost 555 pushes through. Now remember, Ellie Ghost is pretty quick. 2018, he finished 2nd overall. He had a slightly bad year last year, but 2018, it really showed that he can be the one to take it to the front guys as well. So Andrew ZH, it's not like he's got easy competition in front of him to pick off. These guys are all fast.
Ellie goes 555. He's looking to bounce back this year. As we said, he was the runner-up in 2018 behind Trastevere, at the time riding for Mark VDS. He was with Repsol Honda last year, was super quick in the online challenges, got the promotion up to the Repsol Honda team, and everyone was expecting him to be challenging at the front, but it just never materialised. He's now with Aprilia. He's made a slight step backwards, you would have to say, in terms of the teams that he's with. He wasn't as quick in the online challenges as well. He just about scraped through, but now he's looking to re-find his form in the 2020 Global Series into the top 5 already. It's a better performance coming. Back at the front though, and it's still Williams Adrian aboard the KTM, who, if anything, Jack, is pulling away from Trastevere. He's over a second clear now. What a performance it's been so far in the opening night from Adrian.
Definitely, he's looked absolutely invincible the whole night. 2 pole positions, and already the race winning Mugello. He's the man that really is setting the bar in the 2020 Global Series. And, you know, he's already got that 1 second gap. No one's challenging at the front. We have to look back to Trastevere and Sancho Queen battling it out for the final podium places.
Juan NH is still there in 4th, just behind Sancho Queen, who, of course, in his debut season in the MotoGP eSport World Championship, is looking for a debut podium. Juan NH is not. He managed to pick up a surprise one at the Red Bull Ring last year when he was riding for the KTM squad, the factory squad that Williams Adrian now is piloting. So he's used to tasting podium success in the Global Series, and he's having another good performance here as the Spaniard. Currently all over the rear wheel of Petronas Yamaha's Sancho Queen, who is, of course, our second Indonesian rider after Moe, who at the moment, having had that opening lap crash and tangle with Williams Christian, is down in 10th place at the moment. But it does look like the pair of them are just recovering and starting to pick the way back through the field, or certainly that's what they're going to be hoping to do, because they are closing in onto the rear wheel of Davide Galigna aboard the Pramac Ducati in 9th place. Meanwhile, our world champion Andrew ZH is still struggling down in 6th place. Remember last time we were at Jerez, Jack, it was absolute ecstasy for the Italian, because this is the circuit where he wrapped up his first ever eSport championship following Williams Christian home to take 2nd place, and as a result the championship. Now he's back down in 6th place. The only result he had similar to that last year was at the Red Bull Ring, which came as a result of a bad setup choice. He went for the soft tyre and it simply ran out of grip as we got into the closing stages of that race, which is why he dropped backwards. Obviously he's dropping backwards at the start of this race, so it doesn't look like it's going to be a problem with his tyre choice. Who knows what it is, but unfortunately we are not seeing the Andrew ZH that we're used to.
Yeah, it's a shame, Jack, and it makes you wonder, as you say, whether he has made a wrong setup choice, whether it be tyre or something to do with suspension. But it's not like he can relax at all. He can't afford to make another single mistake. We saw him run wide 3 times in about a lap and a half at the start of of this race, and it really wasn't ideal. He lost all them positions after making a somewhat decent start, but now he's got Fuchs behind him, who, as we said in the first race, he was the fastest qualifier for the rest of the world. So, you know, the competition is really not letting up as he slips further and further down the order.
No, it's as competitive as it ever has been in 2020. These 11 guys out there. As you can see, there's hardly any gaps between anybody. The biggest one at the moment is 2 seconds in between Fuchs, the man who was the fastest in the rest of the world, and Mr. TFTW from Australia. These guys are so closely matched, and that's meaning we're getting some fantastic racing out there. Maybe not at the front at the moment, because Williams Adrian is now 1.3 seconds, 1.4 seconds maybe clear of Trastevere in second place. It's an incredible performance coming from the KTM man. Remember, before we even started tonight, he'd never picked up a pole position, he'd never picked up a race win, he'd never even been on the podium, but now he's looking at 2 pole positions and 2 race wins as well. He would not have expected this in his wildest dreams.
No, he certainly would have, and he has been absolutely brilliant. We really cannot say it enough how just brilliant he's been tonight. He's been absolutely dominant. Looked like he's got pace and plenty. But as we look back again, to Ellie Ghost with Andrew ZH behind, and we do see Fuchs just haunting and hunting Andrew ZH as they come through into the final section now. We look back again, and that is Mr. TFTW having a slightly better ride. He unfortunately finished in 11th place in the last one, but much better this time. It was in fact actually his home Grand Prix last year where he had his best result, so it's looking like he's getting on better with the European tracks this year.
Yeah, certainly looks that way, and he's a lovely, lovely man, is Mr. TFTW as well. Obviously made his debut in the Global Series last year and got on with everybody. A real character as well, so it's great to have him back in 2020, and hopefully we can get to the Global Series arena and see all of these guys in person, of course from a 2-metre distance, as the season progresses. Back at the front though, 5 laps completed now, and Williams Adrian extends his gap even further with another fastest lap of the race of 1:33.095. is now 1.7 seconds clear of Trastevere aboard the Monster Energy Yamaha, and if anything, it looks as though Trastevere isn't going to close in on Williams Adrian. It looks as though the debutant on the Petronas Yamaha, Sancho Queen, is closing in on his factory counterpart ahead of him.
Certainly, and as we see that the fastest lap did pop up again for Williams Adrian. You know, the other guys, they're not miles off, they're only a 10th or 2 off, and I tell you what, if you want to go and see how fast these guys are, pick yourself up a copy of MotoGP 20 and see if you can run a 33 flat around Jerez. I guarantee you'll be many seconds off, because these guys are absolutely rapid, as we do just see Williams Christian making up for his turn 1 mistake as he now pops himself up into 9th place as Mr. TFTW goes down, as we're just singing his praises as he was performing a little bit better in this race than the first.
Yeah, crashes out of 8th place as Mr. TFTW. I got a little bit excited, a little bit nervous there, because at Pedrosa Corner I just thought the bike was going to roll into the path of Williams Christian, and having had the misfortune of tangling with Moe on the opening lap at the opening corner, it would just be his luck in this race that he gets collected by a stray Avintia Ducati. Thankfully he managed to avoid it, and he's now back up to 8th place, the man of course that won here this time last year.
Yeah, it would have been absolute commiserations for him if that had happened, as we now just do look back to the man who's dominated this race. We're on to the 7th lap, and look at that. Another fastest lap. That must be 7 laps and 7 fastest laps. He's been absolutely fantastic in this race. We just see in the background, I'm not quite sure that Sancho Queen is got that 1/10 or 2 he needs to close in on Trastevere. Trastevere, if he's managing to able to hang on to that second place, it'd be a much better start for him to life in the 2020 Global Series than 2019. And having missed out by only 2 points last year, he must know that this is so important in the long run.
Yeah, he had a really poor start to the 2020 Global Series. Well, when we say poor start from his perspective as a man that won the 2017 and the 2018 championship. He didn't start life in 2019 as we would have expected, and in the end it was that opening round, that opening Global Series event in Misano that cost him the eventual championship. Meanwhile, is this opening Global Series event going to cost Andrew ZH the championship? Our reigning world champion started life with a 3rd place at his home round in Mugello, and now he's back in 6th place and doesn't look like he's going to be making any improvements through the field with only a handful of laps remaining. He's stranded in 6th place. At the moment, he's got Ellie Goes 555 and Aprilia ahead of him. He's got Fuchs behind him as well, and he's not able to make any inroads whatsoever on the guys ahead. It's real troubling time for Andrew ZH here in race 2 of the Global Series.
Yeah, and you just wonder if it's that kind of round 1 pressure, the round 1 curse of coming in as the reigning champion from the year before that's just causing these two riders, as we saw in last year with Trastevere and now this year with Andrew ZH, just to buckle a little bit under the pressure. We have to say that Andrew ZH, he looked fantastic in the first race, but this one, we're not quite sure really what's going on with him, but hopefully for round 2 he can recover and learn from the mistakes.
Is the tag of being world champion just weighing too heavy on the shoulders of the young Italian? Of course, now signed to the Ducati team. He is a factory rider. Meanwhile, we've got to change for 4th place. There goes the Aprilia of Eli Ghost 555. Up the inside of Juan NH for 4th. The KTM, the Tech 2 KTM will bite back though. That is absolutely guaranteed as they make the way down towards turn number 6. A superb passing opportunity. One of the overtaking hotspots that Jack pointed out earlier. And that's exactly how you do it. He gave him a little bit of an elbow, a little bit of a shoulder, just to nudge him out of the way. And he's back through into 4th place. Is Spain's Juan NH with only 1.5 laps remaining. Is that little bit of argy-bargy between the KTM and the Aprilia just offering a chance to Andrew ZH to try and recoup some valuable points on this final lap of the race, which of course will be starting imminently because Williams Adrian is away with it at the front. These guys going through the final sector. Meanwhile, he will be out of the final corner, or should I say going into the final corner. Now he is out of the final corner, 2 seconds clear of Trastevere. Barring a mistake on this final lap of the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto, it will be a perfect start to 2020 for Williams Adrian. 50 points are there for the taking for the KTM man.
Yeah, certainly. The bosses at KTM in real life, they're going to be having big smiles on their faces seeing this. A Red Bull KTM factory racing machine out front, and out front by some margins. We cut back to the 2018 and 17 champion, Trastevere. He's still holding off that pressure from Sancho Queen. And Sancho, he did tell us that if he got a better start, he could run up the front. And I tell you what, he's absolutely proved it. He's backed it up, and he's looking absolutely brilliant, I've got to say. Looks like he could really challenge all the way for the top 3 places in this 2020 Global Series Championship.
Well, Petronas Yamaha SRT certainly have a knack for picking out some rather fast rookies, and it looks like they've done it again. Fabio Quartararo, the absolute sensation of MotoGP last year in his debut year, and it looks as though Sancho Queen, again with the Petronas Yamaha squad, is going to be our rookie sensation of 2020. Can he get the better of the 2-time champion Trastevere in this final half a lap? It looks as though the number 73 is just going to hold him off. We've only got a handful of corners remaining, only one overtaking opportunity, and he's not close enough. He's half a second adrift. It's going to have to be one hell of a lunge into Lorenzo corner if he is to steal 2nd place away. Meanwhile, it's all about this man on the opening night of the Global Series. Williams Adrian takes victory in Mugello and now takes victory in Jerez as well. 50 out of 50 for the KTM man. What a start to the 2020 Global Series. Trastevere picks up 40 points. And what's happening here? Oh, the world champion. He's run out of fuel. Surely he's run out of fuel there. It looks as though he was going about 10 mile an hour across the line. Did he come across the line in 6th or 7th? Let's have a look at the final results here. He drops a place to 7th. Well, it was a disastrous start as it was for Andrew ZH, but he runs out of fuel coming out of the final corner and he limps across the line in 7th. What a disastrous start to the Global Series for him. Our final race of the evening done and dusted then, and it wraps up what has been a perfect night for Williams Adrian. Pole position and the race win at Mugello, and he's only gone and done it again, Jack, with pole position and the race win at Jerez. Huge congratulations to him. What a night it has been for the KTM man. But when we're talking about good nights, we have to mention Sancho Queen as well. One of the only 2 rookies in the eSport Championship this year, and he's only gone and picked up a podium in his debut event with a podium there at Jerez. Huge congratulations to him, of course, the Malaysian riding for the Malaysian outfit, Petronas Yamaha SRT. Sancho Queen, what does it feel like to have jumped onto the podium in your first ever race in the eSport Championship?
Yeah, of course, I'm so happy about 3rd place on my first debut. But in the first lap, I thought Andrew on the at maybe turn 6. it's hard to when you on this game you brake on the slipstream when you have to be careful on the brake or you will crash easily. Yeah, but this is I'm so happy about third place. Yeah.
Well, it was a cracking performance from you, Sancho Queen. A debut podium in your debut championship series as well. And the man just ahead here was Trastevere, the 2017 and 2018 champion. It's a much better start for you in the 2020 with 2 second places. You must be carrying a lot of confidence into round 2.
Yes, for sure. It is better than last year. I'm really happy also for Sancho Queen to Yamaha in the first in the podium. So I'm happy for him. Was a difficult race, but we have to do some little bit step in front to beat Adrian, that now is strong, is the stronger than us a little bit. So we have to do a little bit step, and for the rest, I'm very happy to these 2 races. 2 second places at the end, 40 points are not bad. We are there for the championship, and let's see for the next rounds, and really happy.
Well, there's no doubt you're going to be in the fight for the championship this year, Trastevere. Only 10 points behind Williams Adrian after this first opening couple of rounds. But of course, don't forget, with double points at our final Global Series event, it's definitely going to go down to the wire. Right, let's speak to the man of the evening. 2 race victories, his first ever race victories in eSport. Huge congratulations, Williams Adrian.
Yes, I am very happy because it's impossible to start better the championship with the 2 pole position and 2 victories. The race was very difficult because I had to ride alone 9 laps. It's easy to grasp, but I am very happy with my race, and to lead the championship. And I am looking forward to the next event, and I hope you enjoy the race.
I'm sure you will enjoy the next event if you can have another evening like you've had tonight. You mentioned the championship there. Of course, you will be at the top of it. So let's take a look at the championship standings after our first Global Series event. And as you can see, there it is. Williams Adrian at the top of the table with 50 points. Just 10 points behind, thanks to his 2 second places, is Trastevere.
Sancho Queen, the rookie, is in 3rd place with Andrew ZH, 2019 champion, 4th. Juan NH is in 5th with Williams Christian, another quick one who's got some work to do, in 6th. Fuchs is in 7th with Eligos 555 in 8th. Davide Galignon, his return, is in 9th with Moe and Mr. TFTW in 11th.
So that's just about everything for tonight. What a way to kick off the 2020 MotoGP eSport Championship. 2 cracking races. Hopefully there's more to come just like that over the coming months, Jack.
Hopefully there is, and of course we need more drama, just like we saw in that last lap in race 2. Andrew ZH has got a bit of a task on at round 2 and the remaining rounds to claw those championship points back.
3 more Global Series events to come to you over the next coming weeks and months. Fingers crossed our next one can be at a circuit rather than our makeshift studio. But it's certainly done a job tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully you'll enjoy round 1 of the MotoGP Championship this weekend. From myself, Jack, and the other Jack, it's a very good evening to you.